He has taught these methods. He knows these methods like the back of his hand. Three kinds of people in the world: rich and powerful oppressors, the poor and disenfranchised oppressed, and the middle class whose apathy perpetuates the status quo. And that's the danger, according to them, is perpetuating the status quo, the world as it is. From this perspective, the world consists of but three kinds of people: the haves, the have-nots, and the have-a-little who want more. The haves, possessing, as they do, all of the power, money, food, security, luxury, they resist the change. They resist the change that's necessary to relieve the have-nots of poverty, like rotten housing or disease or ignorance or political impotence or despair. The have-a-little, they want more compromise, what we call the middle class. Well, Saul Alinsky believes that this group is the genesis of creativity. He also claims that it supplies the world, this middle class supplies the world with its do-nothings. The do-nothings are those who profess a commitment to social change for ideals of justice, equality, and opportunity, and then abstain and discourage all effective action for change. Now, Alinsky remarks that in spite of their reputable appearances, the do-nothings are actually I don't even know if I can go on with this. Look, what he's saying is that these people are resistant to change. These are the people that are not going to allow the change. And most of these people, most of the middle class, are people that are considered to be Christians or have a relationship with Christianity in some way or form. Let me go on with number 3. This is a quote. Change is brought about. Now, this is the one that's most important. Now, as I read this quote out of Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals, think about Benghazi, IRS, the AP phone records, coming out with the new rules for drones because it has inadvertently killed Americans. How these things have just gone nonstop. How it's that's what I said in the beginning of the program. These are nonstop crises. Listen to this quote from Saul Alinsky's Rules from Radicals that Barack Obama was a professor and lectured and taught these very rules. And I quote, "Change is brought about through relentless agitation and troublemaking of any kind that radically disrupts society as it is. It's an organizer's passion for radical change. He must do his best to stir up dissatisfaction and discontent. He must agitate to the point of conflict. The organizer dramatizes injustices, engages in troublemaking by stirring up just those angers, frustrations, and resentments that will eventuate in the disorganization of the old and organization of the new. He is determined to give rise to as much confusion and fear as possible." This is from Saul Alinsky's Rules from Radicals, page 117 through 127. Professor Barack Obama lectured and taught these very rules for years. And now as president, he has the unique opportunity to implement every one of these. This is to dramatize injustices, troublemaking, stirring up angers, frustrations, and resentments that will eventuate in the disorganization of the old and organization of the new. He is determined to give rise to as much confusion and fear as possible. Is this what he's doing? Think about this next one. See if this doesn't apply. And I quote, "There can be no conversation between the organizer and his opponents. The latter must be depicted as being evil. If his compulsion to agitate makes it sound as if the organizer is disinclined to converse with those to whom he disagrees, that's because, well, he is. Alinsky is blunt on this point. You don't communicate with anyone purely on the rational facts or ethics of an issue. Page 89. It's true that the moral rationalization is dispensable. Page 43. That the organizer must clothe one's goals and strategy with moral arguments. But there can be no conversation with one's opponents, for to converse with them is to humanize them. The organizer's objective is to demonize those who stand in the way of his designs for change. That's why the left always is calling names, saying you're unpatriotic. This is for the children. This is for the children, and you just don't like the children. This is not about the children. This is red rum, red rum, red rum. Hey, whoa, whoa. They just go wild. They just go crazy. They call names. They call you teabaggers. They call you all kinds of things. They tell bold-faced lies. They demonize you in every single way possible. If you don't agree with their agenda, you're a flat worlder, and the list of insults just goes on and on and on and on. That's because it's direct out of the rules for radicals. Saul Alinsky and Professor Barack Obama, hand in hand, skipping through the field, singing Kumbaya, because they both believe, lecture, and teach the same thing. Alinsky asserts that changing the so-and-so into a racist bastard and then diluting this with qualifying remarks such as a good church-going man, generous to charity, and a good husband. To do that, one convicts oneself of political idiocy. The winning strategy is to pick the target, freeze it, polarize it, and personalize it. Now, those are not empty words. Pick the target, freeze it, personalize it, and polarize it. What did he do with the Catholic Church with birth control? When he tried to make Catholic Church and Catholic organizations force them into providing birth control, what did he do there? He picked the target. He said, you will provide it. He froze it. Then he said all women have the right to this contraception. He personalized it. Then he started passing executive orders or proposing executive orders and laws to make it into law. That polarized it. You see, Barack Obama is an expert in this stuff, and his minions are right along with him. And you know that because Hillary Clinton and Rahm Emanuel and everybody else that he has put under him has the exact same attitude. And they're working hand in hand to make these things come about. He is an expert in this, my friends. He is an expert, and he's doing it right under our noses. And you know, when some of these things come about, and they come about in such a big barrage, and we as Americans were struggling to try to just keep our head above water and trying to keep our jobs and make as much money as possible, and most of us, not all of us, most of us are trying to be responsible. There are those who are still out there going into debt, because they're just absolutely clueless. They have no idea what's going on. Well, this program is designed to tell people what's going on. And if you are American, you'll be telling them about this strategy, about what's going on. They need to be out of debt. They need to be storing up some water and some food, and they need to be prepared for these things that are coming, because this is nonstop. He's not going to stop. And you know what? Even when he leaves the presidency, this is not going to stop him. He's going to have influence afterwards, that he is still going to push this very, very, very hard. And he's going to do the same thing that he's always done and that he's done during his presidency. Pick the target, freeze it, personalize it, and polarize it. Here's another very, very important one. Now think again about Benghazi, IRS, the AP scandal. And I quote, this is from page 76 through 120 and includes one page 61. Rules for Radical, Saul Alinsky, and Barack Obama hand in hand singing Kumbaya. The organizer can never focus on just a single issue. He must move inexhaustibly from one issue to the next. The organizer must develop multiple issues. For multiple issues mean constant action and life. Alinsky explained a single issue is a fatal straitjacket that drastically limits the organizer's appeal. But multiple issues draw in many potential members essential to the building of a broad, mass-based organization. The only way to keep the action going is by constantly cutting new issues as the action continues, so that by the time the enthusiasm and the emotion for one issue has started to de-escalate, a new issue emerges with a consequent revival. This is exactly what happened with Benghazi. Exactly. In the middle of Benghazi, being hot as a popcorn fart, the IRS scandal comes out of nowhere. It seeps through some hidden crack somewhere. Benghazi hadn't even started to slow down yet. Once the IRS scandal was out there, what happened? Somehow it was leaked that they were getting the phone records from AP reporters. And people went, and now they have to deal with that, and the IRS, and the Benghazi, all at the same time. But that's not enough. Now he comes out with the new drone rule, saying, well, yeah, we had inadvertently killed Americans, but it was collateral damage. People are going, no! Why? Because the organizer must develop multiple issues. For multiple issues mean constant action in life. This has been the Obama presidency, where a single issue is a fatal straitjacket that dramatically limits the organizer's appeal, but multiple issues draw in many potential members. Essential to the building of a broad, mass-based organization, the only way to keep action going is by constantly cutting new issues as the action continues, so that by the time the enthusiasm and the emotions for one issue have started to de-escalate, a new issue has emerged with consequent revival. My goodness. I'm going to talk about a puzzle coming together. You're starting to see the picture here. Well, we're going to continue. I'm going to give you some more pieces of the puzzle. Tell me that this is not what's going on, and I quote, taunt one's opponents to the point that they label you as a dangerous enemy of the establishment. Everyone, my friends, everyone out there who is saying that he is a dangerous enemy of the establishment, while he may very well be, while everybody raising such a fuss about it, you're doing exactly what he wants. This is exactly what he wants. You're perpetuating the situation. He wants to be labeled a dangerous enemy. Here's what it says, page 100. To put the organizer on the side of the people, to identify with the have-nots, it's imperative that he maneuver and bait the establishment so that it will publicly attack him as a dangerous enemy. And he is very successful at this. Just because Obama has left behind this low-income Chicago communities started and where he agitated doesn't mean that he's left behind the skills as a community agitator that he learned from Saul Alinsky and taught and lectured on these skills. He is an expert. Rather, he now regards the country as his community to organize as he see fit. And that's exactly what he's doing. We can't fall into his plan. And when you come out here and label him as dangerous, and a public enemy number one, and enemy of the establishment.